Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having a fantastic day. We're taking a look here at Solana, seeing what's going on. Double checking a few key factors. We're right there at $248. We kind of left off at that level yesterday when we talked last, and I was mentioning about considering a short position. We did end up taking that short trade and solidified about 21% in 5 hours on a simple 5x leverage trade. Granted, that was a high risk trade. I don't necessarily recommend taking those kind of trades all the time, but there's a lot of confirming factors on small time frames. And of course, Bitcoin was pulling back to that low $100,000 mark. It just made sense. But at this point here, I get a lot of questions. Do we short Solana right now? The truth is we want to see how this descending trend line works out first. There's a few things I want to talk about before we decide to do that. But if you look at yesterday's play out here, you can kind of see there's two scenarios here. We either close above or below $260. Really simple as that. I think 260 is a solid resistance range for us because again, it was a previous all-time high range. And then of course here locally, we've seen a lot of resistance there as well. So just some things to kind of be mindful of when going in here, and always again, do your due diligence when you trade. Don't just take a trade based on me saying it should go up or down. You have to be responsible for whatever you do. This is your portfolio at the end of the day, right? Now I mention that just because some folks will get they'll get a little bit out of shape because they occasionally get things wrong. Everyone gets it wrong. This is the crypto market. Nobody can see the future. But the things that we look at are generally more favorable than disadvantageous. They kind of increase our odds of success. And it's never a guarantee. But again, my success rate is pretty decent. I'm able to hit my targets usually about 80% of the time. And once again, most of that's based on confirmation, which I like to take trades with. And truth is, this month has been terrible for confirming factors. Like, I mean, you've probably seen the charts. I mean, look at Bitcoin here. This is a ripsaw and a half. Like, okay, cool, ready to short. Boom, price goes down. Ready to long, ready to short, ready to short. I mean, you cannot catch that kind of behavior. It's just it's fairly ridiculous. So don't feel weird or alone if you're not able to secure the kind of profits that you're looking for. It's difficult, right? I haven't been able to find a lot of good entries this month, and normally I don't have too much trouble. So just to give you some perspective, you're not alone in that frustration. So let's work our way down here and go from there. So first of all, liquidation, immediate liquidation. We can see 260. Once again, folks are shorting that level pretty heavy. So we have a slightly larger concentration at 260. I think the last 12 hours might be a little bit more indicative of where we're at here. So this is just a little easier gauge. So again, we can see 250 getting swept here. So for the moment, for the most part, in the last 12 hours, majority of short-term liquidation has been hit. So 250 would probably be the initial high here. Not to say it couldn't go higher, because again, we were breaking through a resistance if we get above 250. But once more, as I mentioned previously, 250 to 260 is that resistance range. So just know that we're traveling into that, and there's a small chunk of liquidation below the price 235 and under. When we look at the macro, it doesn't really tell us too much. I mean, it's helpful, but it's also very sparse and sporadic. Again, 260, I would say, is that area to kind of be mindful of, rather. And if we take a look here at the liquidation delta, it's starting to run flat. So folks are both long and short at this moment. So a lot of times you'll see breakouts occur when that happens. So if my guess is if Bitcoin can maintain above 106,000, there's a solid chance that Solana will continue higher here and break its ascending trend. Bitcoin is showing a lot of strength right now, folks. So if you take a quick look at my playout chart here, you can kind of see that we got short-term liquidation down below, macro liquidation above. But the truth is that macro liquidation level is pretty chunky. It's pretty big. So I'm guessing we're going to see 110 to 114 as the next potential area of retracement there. And once again, all the more reason too, because we can see short liquidation delta is kind of high. So people are trying to short this coin way too much, and they're probably going to get squeezed out. Anyways, again, I know we're not here for Bitcoin, but if you don't know anything about Bitcoin, you're kind of shooting in the dark. And if you're using only Elliott Wave, for example, you're just kind of like closing your eyes and pulling the trigger, right? And again, I mention that because a lot of folks put emphasis on Elliott Wave in our community, and they fail to recognize that there's way more to trading than just one indicator. There's no such thing as a one-size-fits-all. So just try to diversify and learn what you can from these videos and maybe find what works best for you. Last thing I want to look at is open interest here. This is usually a good indication of support and resistance ranges. And again, whenever I take trades, I like to be on the right side of the open interest. In other words, when there's a lot of open interest above us, 250, 257, 262, 272, these are late longs that are just absolutely underwater right now, okay? And again, the reason why those are problems is because not only are there resistances, but the resistance is because of exit liquidity. A lot of folks, like in these positions that are in the red, they're going to be selling their position at break even and or as soon as the price action reaches that range. So if we go to 250 to 260, there's a solid chance we're going to see some resistance there, and that would still continue the lower high pattern, in turn, not necessarily a breakout. All right, so just some things to be mindful of. We got some resistance above us, which is again reflected on the charts here, roughly 245 to 260. Okay, so daily time frame. We're above all moving averages here, so don't get it twisted. The macro's still looking pretty good on this coin. Same thing as well here. It's good structure for the overall sentiment. RSI is in good shape. Money flow index is in good shape. Stochastic is swinging down, but I'm not putting a lot of emphasis on stochastic recently, but I would in this case mainly because of how high the price action went in a short period of time. But that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, 1 week's worth of trading, 74% increase. Okay, so that has to naturalize in most cases. Fair value gaps need to get filled. We can see a partial fill here for the fair value gap, but 220 is still that interesting area there. So me personally, I have limit orders between 200 to 220 for my spot bag, and I'm going to consider a long there, almost in the blind, which I rarely say, but for the most part, I think we're going to see a lot of support if we hit that range again. So easy way to understand it here is that there's still potential for further downside. Let's not get too crazy and be like, oh, the daily time frame's good, I'm going to go long. That's a very blindsided move if you do that. Okay, 4-hour time frame. Let's look at the SMAs and recognize that we're under the 20. While I love being above the 50-day SMA, being above the 20 is going to be a kind of an important factor for us. So again, all the more reason why we want a closure of 260 or higher to get that extra level of comfort and that confirmation, so to speak, that we're going to be on the right side of tracks. So again, this will not come to pass, right, until we actually close above 260. And as far as further downside is concerned, keep in mind we saw a decent amount of buying pressure here. 240 held like a champ. So while we didn't get a ton of profit off of our short, 21%, that's great and all. There's a good chance that trade's invalidated now, and we're going to probably see this resistance range retested. Anyways, I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. Anyways, for the 4-hour time frame, we're back up over 50 on the RSI, but money flow index is super low. You got to recognize that MFI is going to be super low because it's factoring in the last 14 candles, and they've all been bearish until just now. So if you're looking at this here, you're like, oh, I got my market ciphers giving me a short signal, something stupid like that. It's because money flow index is low, and there's a good chance that that's a false positive right now. In fact, I'm telling you it is, because you don't pay attention to that when the money flow index is flawed like that, the RSI is much more impactful. So I'd love to see the MFI above the RSI in most cases. So generally speaking, you would construe that normally as a bearish sign, but that's actually not bearish in this situation, simply because we have so much selling pressure in the recent past that these little three green candles don't really make up for it. Okay, so don't misinterpret that. But again, also don't misinterpret the fact that we're breaking out and we're back on track, because we're not. Okay, so you can see this pretty clear. Lower highs are still being established. Until we break that lower high pattern with a closure over 260, there's no reason to take a long position. All right, so taking a look here at Ichimoku cloud. Last thing but not least, we're still below the cloud. This is another confirming factor I looked for yesterday when we took our short right here. It's just simple momentum things that you want to look for, right? In other words, we're underneath the cloud. Generally speaking, that's a bearish sign. The lagging span was free and clear. Conversion line was below the baseline. There's 3 out of 3 reasons to not take a long position and to consider a short. That, in combination with us being below that key level resistance, led me to feel confident in taking the short, right? And again, that's just all it is. When you're taking trades, you're looking for scenarios that are going to feel you're going to be more confident in taking a trade in either direction based on confirming factors, right? Confidence, confirming. Those are 2 things that go hand in hand. So just please understand, if you took a long this morning because you just bought the dip and it's a double bottom, that's why you bought it. That's cool. Don't get me wrong. That's awesome that you're in profit. I'm super happy for you. But you need to recognize that that's not how trading is supposed to work. And if you're doing that and getting lucky every once in a while, you're setting yourself up for disaster later, because it's not going to work at some point and it's going to destroy your account. All right? Again, proper risk tolerance, proper risk management, those are things if you're utilizing, then that doesn't really matter what I just said. But the main point I'm trying to drive home here is just to be careful and try not to get too crazy just because some dude online tells you to take a long or a short. Okay, that includes myself too. I'm probably never going to tell you that you should do X, Y, Z. If you're part of my community, you'll know. Obviously, I tell you why and I explain it. I do have a Trade Alerts channel that kind of explains those things, so make sure you tune into that. Future reference on our Discord that is available here, where I kind of give you insight on coins that I'm planning to take trades with. Signals guide as well. Make sure you read through here so you know how to kind of properly structure your trades. Okay, it's all there for you, folks. I want you to learn and grow and become a better trader. If you want that for yourself, cryptocash.tech is a site. If not, that's cool. Learn what you can from the videos. I hope you have a good rest of the day either way. Thanks again so much for your time. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.